Hello, welcome to ABW Live. This is an Arsenal podcast that we are doing live. We are reacting to Arsenal versus Crystal Palace, the game that had all our hearts thumping, I bet you. I just want to introduce my co-host this evening. He goes by the name of Richard, aka Mr. Cactus. Say, go for it, Rich.
Go for it, Rich. Oh, hey, Fem, how's it going, my brother? How you good?
Yeah. I'm something to, after
How,
watching that.
how was your pre-podcast pick me up alcohol drink? Did
Yeah,
it
I
did
need
it
to. I
did it
think I
do the
need that.
trick?
I'm gonna need it for bedtime, to be honest, because I'm sorry. I need something to calm me down from all that excitement that we just saw. But yeah, just wanted to say shout out to everyone in the chats. I'm seeing a few names. I'm just gonna just waffle just a few names off. Mr. Waffles, Phil, someone called Dani the GFP, Black Trommel. I'm really bad with pronunciations, by the way. Moshin Ali. We've got Rudy Rosloff, Zoidberg. We've got yeah, just a few names. Welcome in the chat room. Keep chatting away. Keep putting your comments in there. We'll try and read some every now and then. And if you are watching along with us, or if you're watching back, make sure that you hit that like button as much as you can. So let's go straight into the game. The game tonight, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace at the Emirates Stadium. So let's start with lineups first. I'm not going to go through every single lineup, but what did you make of the lineup first of all, Rich?
It wasn't too unsurprising. Tierney, I expected at some point Tierney to have a rest. I'm hoping that this is just a rest rather than he's injured. We knew Martinelli wasn't going to be ready for this game. We knew that it was going to be too much of an ask to put Pepe straight in the starting 11. I said that the obviously a little bit of a shock was Mari having he had a tight calf or something like that. So it was
tight calf.
It was fairly by the numbers and to be expected. I wasn't massively surprised. I know I heard some. Oh, sorry. I read some doom and gloom dudes on the on Twitter and that moaning about it. But I mean, with Tierney injured, with Mari injured, with Gabriel just coming back, that was pretty much a standard team that you were going to really select, I guess. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, the Tierney thing's interesting because if you don't rest him, people complain. If you rest him, people complain. I mean, he's going to have to rest at some point. I mean, if he didn't play, I mean, let's say he didn't play on Saturday and he played tonight and got a tight calf. Still got a tight calf, isn't it? It's going to happen at some point with KT. So hopefully he'll be back for the Monday game. My only reservation and question was starting David Luiz and Rob Holding together. I mean, we got a clean sheet, but we'll come to that in a bit. How we got a clean sheet, because I looked at them playing a 4-4-2 with Zaha and Benteke up against Holding and Luiz, and it pretty much played out according to my worst fears, to be honest. But then again, I did think Luiz started because we started Maitland-Niles on the left, meaning that Maitland-Niles isn't very experienced on the left, and I mean, I can just imagine Gabriel and Maitland-Niles together. Gabriel's he's a good defender, but he's quite rash as well. So it's probably for that little bit of stability. But we lost.
I think also like Maitland-Niles would help out with his lack of pace, like say getting back and stuff like that. But...
Exactly. Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah. Yeah. So everyone, just leave your comments in the chat. I'll try and read some as we go along. Renry said, "Have I just read someone suggest Ceballos played well?" Brendan said, "Pepe 7 goals in 42 games." We will come onto all of that. So let's go into the game. So, what did you think of the start? I thought we started pretty brightly, to be fair. The first 10 minutes, we're buzzing around, pinging the ball around, lots of movement, lots of energy. What do you think of that? Let's break it down into segments, I guess.
Yeah, like first 10, 15 minutes, I've literally wrote the similar thing. I thought we started brightly. We was zipping the ball around. Palace didn't really. They just kind of sat off us. They didn't put too much pressure on us. And when we did, we were able to get round them. I know that it was like in the 4th minute, Ceballos did like a couple of nutmegs and played like a lovely ball into Maitland-Niles, who was overlapping, but our big problem was our final ball throughout the game. And it was from the opening minutes was just trash. Our final ball, we had no end product. It was just really, really sloppy. And as we got more sloppy, as the minutes went on, I felt Palace then started to creep back into the game, and it was just, it wasn't as bad as I've heard some people making out. Because, like I said, I thought we started brightly, but I just thought our end product was non-existent. It was really, really bad.
Yeah, and I've got it written down in my notes here. I've got Aubameyang, bad passing and ruining the build-up play. So Aubameyang on the left, the ball was coming to him quite a lot in that first phase of the game. And if you notice, one of the things that he does is his passing was very, very poor. His one-touch layoffs, his link-up play. This is probably why he doesn't. He gets shifted out to the left more often than not after he's played up front, because his link-up play is pretty terrible, and he demonstrated that a lot in the early part of the game. A lot of loose passes from him, and then I've got written here in about the 16th minute, I think, between the 10 and 16 minute mark. Ainsley Maitland-Niles decides that he's going to play a crazy back pass to Bernd Leno. What did you think of that? Bearing in mind that he had a few minutes earlier headed the ball straight to Zaha in the middle of the pitch.
If I wasn't didn't want to show you my terrible childish handwriting, I said 15-minute crazy back pass from Ainsley Maitland-Niles concedes a corner. Even if that did go to Leno, that would have been a hell of a touch to get that under control. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I really want him to succeed. I think he's got a lot of really good attributes. He's very, very quick. He's got a really nice touch on him. He's athletic, but his passing is just at times is so sloppy, and he was particularly sloppy tonight. Like I said, a couple of minutes earlier, like I said, he'd done that header. He'd also, every time he was getting down that left-hand side, obviously because it's not his natural side, he's having to check back, but even then his passes were just wayward. They were either under hit or just wildly inaccurate, and it was a real, I was starting to think, like, is this a corner concern? Is this something that is symptomatic of his game, or is it just because you think he hasn't played a lot of minutes?
Now, this is my thing. That I know a lot of people in the comments are, saying he's not a fullback or he had a terrible game. My concern is we've seen this from Maitland-Niles quite a few times, actually, especially in some home games. He when he doesn't play for a long time, he seems to take a long time to get into rhythm of playing. So if he plays like a lot of games in a row, you see that he does get better, more confident. He's one that it's a good place actually just to have that quick conversation about certain players. So he plays tonight. He has, for me, a terrible, terrible game. I don't know what the problem was. So my question is, do you think we made a mistake not selling him? I'll just put it out there now.
Yes, I do think it was a mistake, considering how little we've used him. I know someone's put in the chat like he's a squad player, nothing more. But getting 20 million for a player 20 plus million for a player who is not playing, doesn't give you a lot of minutes, and the boss doesn't seem to trust, kind of thing. I kind of think it was a bit of a mistake, but again, I don't know if he's old enough that he counts towards the homegrown quota. So that was another reason why we kept him on. He's I like I said, I don't want to have a go at the Conservative. He, like I say, he's like the little girl in the story, isn't it? You know, when he's good, he's great. When he's bad, he's awful. And there's very little in between. You know, he either has like he either has an 8 or he has a 4. He very rarely has like a mid-range game. I also don't think it helped him that having on the left-hand side. I mean, obviously you've got the comparisons with Tierney, who and not just any old Tierney, a Tierney who is shit hot in form at the minute. So you've got that comparison. He's also got in front of him, he's got Aubameyang, who Aubameyang is not in for. I think he lacks confidence, a lot of confidence at the minute. Aubameyang. There was a couple of times where Aubameyang of old would have received the ball, got it inside and whipped in a shot, and he seems to be second guessing himself a little bit, I think. And also they're both right-footed. So both of them are looking to. Neither of them have got a left foot, so they can't swing in a first-time ball or play the ball with the left foot first time. So they're always having to check back into the same space that they want to be at. So I think it was there was just too many things set up for Maitland-Niles to not have the best of games, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'm seeing a lot of the comments. We'll come on to individuals as we go through the match. So I'm seeing a lot of comments about Oba in the chat. We'll come back to that as we go through the game. I got here Xhaka making a tackle to stop Zaha. That was early on as well, and I put there at that point Xhaka had been really, really good. We saw every part of Xhaka tonight, I want to say. He encapsulated his whole Arsenal career in one game. Sometimes excellent, sometimes just thinking, what the hell is going on here with Xhaka? The passing was sloppy sometimes it was great. But yeah, that was a very last-ditch tackle after Zaha taking out Holding and Bellerin on that problematic right side as usual for us.
Well, I think that was one of the things that happened was Zaha started the game on towards the left-hand side. I think they wanted to of the front two wanted to get at Luiz and Maitland-Niles, but he wasn't getting much change out of anybody because Luiz and Xhaka were kind of doubling up on him, and they were almost kind of bullying him. There was a lot of times when the ball would go up in the air, Luiz was just bumping into him to try and get him angry, knock him off his stride and stuff like that. So he switched, and him and Benteke just slightly switched to the sides they were on, and then he was up against Ceballos and he was up against Holding, and he had a lot more freedom, and he was able to get time on the ball. That 1-2 with Benteke was really, really good, and what a last-ditch tackle from Xhaka. And like I said, I'm one of his harshest critics, Xhaka, but when he does well, you got to hold your hands up and say fair play to the boy. He did a similar one to stop it late in the game to stop a Zaha whipped in ball. Where he sprinted back, saw the danger, and so he did really, really well. But you're right, you are correct in saying this was his Arsenal career, this game. Needless, silly fouls, giving away free kicks, sloppy giving away the ball. But then every now and again, he's getting back, he's covering, he's tackling, and he's, some really nice slide rule balls, like really, really good. He was a mixed bag. I thought he had a decent game. I don't think he was bad, but every now and again, that little mental, unstable, annoying Xhaka reared his ugly head, which was a bit annoying.
Yeah, exactly. Flying through the game again, I've got I'll just touch on some stuff. Bellerin taking the ball from Lacazette, who had it on his right foot. He was just about to whip it in. You could picture that coming, but Bellerin took it off of him. And then I've got in my notes something that I think it's Shai and Vesh is talking about in the chat, and it's something that I was so annoyed about in the whole game. It says Zaha is a born baby, cries at the slightest touch. And I've got in my notes, Zaha is moaning, his way into getting cheap free kicks, and the referee continuously was buying it. And also, I might as well just add this at the same time. There was a incident in the second half where Luiz accidentally kicks Zaha in the face. Now, what I find fascinating
hang on. Prior to that, he bumped into him. Then he absolutely took his legs from underneath him.
He took his legs, and then Zaha was going to jump up to complain as usual or do crybaby routine. That's why he got a knee to the face. If he had just stayed down, he wouldn't have got the knee to the face. But he was just annoying me to that. I don't know what you felt.
Yeah, similar. I'm not as many. I didn't have as many daggers in for him as maybe you did, but I could see what you mean. But that unfortunately, and it pisses me off because I know some people call it gamesmanship. I call it cheating. That moaning to get fouls. That's why Emile Smith-Rowe against in the Newcastle game got that red card, because the player fucking screamed and shouted. If you don't make a big, the sad thing is, if you don't make a big song and dance about getting contact, about getting pushed, about getting fouled, you won't win anything, because the refs will just, like say, wave play on. So you have to go to ground. You have to make noise. That's what Harry Kane has learned, and that's why Harry Kane is he always gets free kicks, because he just kicks himself up into the ground, falls down, screams, and gets in. It's something that we don't really do enough of. Xhaka's probably one of the few in our squad that does do it. But yeah, I could see what you mean. I thought when he got kneed in the head, Zaha, the only thing I think had he had been more of a, say, like a Harry Kane, or like a Luis Suarez or something like that, he would have made a big song and dance about being shot in the face by his kneecap, and then it would have been a conversation then of David Luiz possibly getting sent off, because like you're right in saying it was a complete an accident. If Zaha hadn't have rolled into his knee, he wouldn't have touched him.
This is it exactly. And let's trying to move, and I'm trying to even think of something else that happened in the first half. I think that was pretty much
one of the things in the first half that I was getting annoyed was the fact that we just couldn't get Emile Smith-Rowe into the game. He had so few touches in that first half. We just everything. Like I said, because they kind of sat into a low block, and Palace only really engaged once it went into Xhaka or Ceballos, and they would just be forced to turn back into David Luiz and Rob Holding. They seemingly didn't care if our centre backs had the ball, but we could not get Emile Smith-Rowe into the game, and it was really, really frustrating, because you could see he's got the touch, and anytime we did do something dangerous, like you said about the Lacazette chance where Bellerin nicked it off his toes, that was one of the few times that Smith-Rowe was able to get in, a little bit of in the half space and get some freedom to do something. I don't know why you thought it was so hard. If you thought it was hard for us to get Emile Smith in the game, or if I'm just going crazy.
Now this is a really good question, because I thought Ceballos and Xhaka had decent games individually, but as a partnership, I don't think it works. So where you've got, you can have players playing individually quite well, but if you don't have a partnership that's doing well, you're still going to run into problems, which is what we ran into today with that combination, which is they seem to kind of do the same thing basically. Ceballos does it in a more flashy way, but the ball progression is not quick enough, is not sharp enough, and the movement today, I don't know what was going on. They seemed to lose confidence quite early in the first half, and we just weren't getting the ball forward enough. And sometimes you have to credit the opposition as well. I think this formation, this lineup has surprised a few teams recently, but teams are they're kind of getting used to it, I guess. Newcastle kind of the same thing on Saturday. And today, once they flooded the midfield basically, and we had no outball in the midfield. So I think that's really what it is. We just don't move the ball quick enough. It's quite ironic. We kind of missed El Neni in a silly kind of way tonight, and I never thought I'd say that. But saying that, we went in at halftime 0-0. I've got here, I don't even know if these stats are right, but the stats are saying that they had about 9 shots in the first half to our 2. That's what it says.
Yeah. So it broken down. They had 9 shots. They had 5 off target. 2 of them were blocked, and only 2 of them were off target. Both of our shots were on target.
Yeah. There you go.
It was my thoughts at half time was, we started well. It was decent tempo, but we were just so sloppy with the final ball. Palace then started to grow into the game with Zaha, like I said, coming into the right hand side. And I just put in there, Arsenal need to be quicker, more aggressive, and stop cutting. And like I said, be switched on. I thought we were just far too sloppy with Maitland-Niles being the main culprit, unfortunately. Not that I want to go after him, because I feel a little bit sorry for him. Like I said, he hasn't had many minutes, and he's on the left hand, being as a left fullback. But it was just. I think the sloppiness killed us, because I do think we were quite bright, and I think we got into some good positions, but every single time our final ball was just the shits.
Yeah, and this is it. This took us to half time. So before we go into the second half, I just wanted to shout out everyone in the chat room. We are reading the chats. If you have any random questions, you can dump them in there. We'll try and pick them up and answer them after the game. And if you are watching, please hit the like button, and just keep commenting in that chat room. So we went into the second half. Obviously, as always happens, Arteta gives them a good team talk. They come out for the second half, and
to Kurt Angle's music, for no less.
I didn't even hear it this time. That's a theme now, isn't it? At the Emirates.
Whoever does the halftime music, so there's a big wrestling fan. So I was like, yes, let's get pumped. But we
did. For the first few minutes, we had a few chances. We had a Aubameyang chance, Hector Bellerin chance, Saka chance. They were all kind of half chances, weren't they? Nothing really, really cutting edge or something. We had another chance in the 53rd minute where Lacazette had a chance, but it probably would have been ruled out for offside. But he also hit the side netting. Another chance goes wide. And then I've got here something that is quite interesting. Bellerin sloppy at the edge of the box. Gives the ball away 2 times in the 60th and the 62nd minute, which could have led to breakaway goals. I thought second half Bellerin was he took over from the sloppiness of Maitland-Niles. Basically, he just kept giving the ball away when in good attacking positions. What did you think of that?
Mate, again, it's literally like we're in sync here. I've put 60 minutes. Bellerin's passing has been rank. It was awful. It wasn't good. And again, it was just, as soon as we tried to go that extra, what's it called? It just, it cut out. And then when, because I think like 4 minutes later, Mikel made the swap that a lot of people were calling for at half time, to put Saka at left back and bring on Pepe.
Yeah.
And I don't know, them two very rarely seem to gel. I'm not quite sure 100% what it is. I think a little bit of it is I sometimes think that Pepe is too stationary, especially when he receives the ball. He'll receive the ball and then he'll kind of stand over it quite a lot, and sometimes like he'll assess the situation kind of thing, where he doesn't really move and create space for Bellerin to really run into, because it's never really clicked with them two. I don't know what your thoughts on that, but it seemingly, even when we made that change, it didn't really improve us all that much.
No, he had a good 2 minutes, I think. Pepe, yeah, came on, did a couple of things, had a nice pass to Emile Smith-Rowe, and that was it. He just that's pretty much Pepe's career, to be honest. I don't even know what else to say about him. He just looks good in bits and bobs, and he just flatters to deceive. Really, is the best way that I can put it. He just. It's like you
73 said Pepe, the 72 million Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, I've seen the Jovino comments in the chat as well. Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, it's putting on Pepe to change a game. I was surprised, but I mean, you've got Willian or Pepe, basically two out of form players. Now, what do you do with that? Shout out to Mark Carlisle, I think, who's watching on Facebook. I just want to give him a shout out because not many people watch on Facebook. So shout out to Mark.
Just him and Dani, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, someone said Willian had his best game for us thus far, which is by not coming on. It's quite interesting, Willian and Pepe. You've got two players who are just totally out of form, and we kind of need them not to be. So we're coming up to a point now where this was a decent run of games for us, and it's about to get a lot tougher, going forward. But let's say this. Let's look at a few other things and close out this game, because not much happened, to be honest with you. We spoke about the Xhaka clearance. That was, I mean, the only thing to say on that was David Luiz was. We pushed so high up the pitch in the second half that David Luiz was so exposed, and Holding was so exposed for pace as well. That's why it was a bit of a weird selection, not playing Gabriel. It's really weird, but we
I just
got
think
away
because he hadn't played, because he'd been out for is it like 3 or 4 matches he'd missed.
That's probably true, and he had a game suspension in there as well. So that's we can give them that benefit of doubt, I guess. What else we got? Partey came on for Ceballos. They made the change just before a corner, which I said, why would you make a change just before a corner? And lo and behold, Palace got another chance from a corner, a free header, and then McCarthy, I don't know which one, McCarthy just laps it into Leno. What did you think of our defending on set pieces today? Because we've been quite good on set pieces this season, but today they had about 3 clear-cut chances from set pieces.
Yeah, Tompkins hit the bar, didn't he, early in the first half? And like I said, you had that one that fell to MacArthur. I think it is MacArthur. I think in the main, I think we didn't do too badly, considering like add in all the free kicks and stuff like that. They are a big old side. Crystal Palace. Tompkins is big. Is it Kouate?
Yeah,
he's big. The kid who played right back, is it Ward? He's a fair size, and Benteke, and Zaha's no midget. Like they're a decent size team. I don't know. Like I said, we didn't concede. I guess that's the only thing I can really pluck from it. it just goes to like how well they dealt with our free kicks and our set piece as well. Just because they're like I said, they're a tall, big side Palace, and so there was always going to be some details. Wasn't there another free kick that Benteke had a header and Leno made a fantastic save?
Yeah. This, and it's quite weird because we have been really solid at set pieces this season. It's a weird one, but I kind of figured that was going to happen with the changes in centre back. We kind of need to get a run of something out of our centre backs at the moment. We need something in there. So I've got here the next note is 80 minutes to 90 minutes, and I just put we've run out of ideas. And I just put Eddie sneaks on the pitch for Lacazette. There's no point because we cannot get the ball into dangerous areas. And Pepe shoots over the bar. That's it. That's literally all I've got left for my notes. I've got our set pieces are terrible. We don't score from any, and that's it. That was the game. Palace looked more dangerous than us in a lot. If the game had gone another 5 minutes, they probably would have scored. To be honest with you. So overall, what did you? What positives can you take of that game? Let's do it like that.
Positives. Bernd Leno. I thought was very, very, very good.
That's
not really. Again, not much really. Like I said, apart from the clean sheet. I'll say we kept a clean sheet.
We did.
I thought, yeah, like you said, I thought individually, I agree with you. I thought Ceballos, and especially early in the game, Ceballos, I thought was decent. He flattered to deceive as he went on. Like I said, the only thing is, we've got this out of the way. Palace have been a little bit of our bogey side of late. And like I said, we got a clean sheet and on to the next one, and hopefully, touch wood, Tierney and Martinelli and that will be back. The other positive is Partey came onto the pitch and got some minutes and completed his comeback. Thankfully, so like I say, I was really worried that we might be tempted to rush him back onto the pitch and then screw him up again. But so he could be another 4 months out and then be like a new signing again. But yeah, I know. What positives did you take from the game?
Honestly, I thought second half, Smith Rowe came alive. I thought I'm struggling. I'll be honest with you, I did not enjoy that at all.
No.
We struggled so much going forward. Early goals are the key for us, to be honest. If you really think about it, the last 2 games, 90 minutes, we've drawn 0-0. But it was kind of a similar pattern in the Newcastle game where we ran out of ideas after 80 minutes, really. But positive-wise, I think, I don't know. I can't think of it. But Lacazette didn't get enough touches, so I can't give him as a positive. Oba, we'll talk about Oba in a minute. As part of our final chat, I thought Saka got into left back was something that I don't think we should be doing, but we've literally got no left backs left, and worrying if Tierney gets injured that we've got no other option at left back. But yeah,
I think one positive I can take is the fact that a month and a half ago, this was a game we would have lost.
Oh yeah,
and lost badly. Yeah. So small little graces, and like I said, we've got the clean sheet. And I don't know who's our next game. We're playing Monday.
Newcastle on Monday. Yeah, that's three clean sheets in a row, with a back 4 as well. So I think the idea of going back to a back 3 probably can be knocked on its head now. I can see Renry saying back 3 in the chat, but I think that can be knocked on its head now. Let's stop putting more defenders on the pitch. To be honest with you, let's find a way. I think actually a positive that I'll say is we pushed up a lot more in that first part of that second half. So we took a lot more risks. We were literally, Luiz was bombing into the opposition half, and I think that's more reminiscent of what we think an Arsenal team should be doing. So yeah, clean sheet, and glad to see Partey get some minutes. That's from K-Man. So let's have one final conversation before we start closing it out. If you've got any questions, leave them in the chat. We'll pop them into the conversation before we close. If you want to add any questions, we'll pick them up. So Aubameyang, let's have that chat. The Aubameyang chat. If he's playing on the left and he offers as much as he does today, what is the point of him being in the team? Discuss.
Okay, well, I feel that's a loaded question there.
It is.
Yeah. He has to play somewhere, I guess, because he's been our biggest goal threat prior to this season, really, and especially the start of the season kind of thing. He can't play up front, not in the way that Arteta wants the centre forward to play. He's not strong enough. He's not technically good enough to bring other players into the game. Mate, I'm 5'6.5", and I think I could beat him in a headed duel. He's no good. He's not a target man. So you have to play him kind of his ideal position where he's going to get the goals in this Arsenal team is on the being in that left wing, cutting in on his right foot and taking shots, or if we do break on the right hand side, on our right hand side, normally everybody's facing all the other way, and he can sneak in on the back post, off the back of either the last defender or the or the right back. The problem that he's got at the minute is he is so badly out of form, and not only is he out of form, I think the big reason is he lacks confidence so much. I think at the minute, Aubameyang of 6 months ago, there was a couple of times where he's laid the ball off for like Lacazette or Xhaka and stuff like that, and 6 months ago he wouldn't have done that. He would have got the ball, got it out of his feet really quickly, and bang, he did. I think he did that once in the game where he forced like a really good save from the Palace keeper.
Half, yeah.
And unfortunately, it's just not happening for him. I think he is. I've seen like a lot of people in the chat box saying that he's come down with ursulitis, and I don't agree with that 100%. I do think his body language was kind of poor when he was playing up front and we were struggling. Since Martinelli's come back and he's been moved out to the left wing back again, I think he's upped his work rate and he's been a lot better, but he's missing that clinical confidence, that killer instinct, that ice cold confidence that makes Aubameyang a killer. Because like I say, he's not a playmaker. He's not a target man. He's not someone who brings other people into the game. He gets on the end of the ball and he finishes those chances. So I don't know if he's one of those. So I'm waffling a bit, but I don't know if he's one of those guys that he needs to play into form, rather than him not playing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to do that.
I totally understand what you mean. I'm gonna just dump this question into the conversation because it's part of the conversation actually. Renry just asked a question which says, "Who do you play down the left if Over is dropped?" Bearing in mind, if you say Saka, that probably means Pepe or Willian playing down the right. Now, the reason why I asked that question in that way is one of the best ways that you can create in football is to have creative wide players. Now, if we think about an Arsene Wenger team, and we think about the wide players in an Arsene Wenger team, you always had a Cazorla maybe out wide, or a Robert Pires, or a Freddie Ljungberg. You always had a creative spark out wide. That's one of the ways that you can be more creative. Okay, so what do you think about that? If you have to play, if you have to drop, but one thing we got to remember is we got a Martinelli in the wings waiting for us as well. Martinelli staying fit is probably the key to our season, I would say. What do you think about that? Those two things, anyway.
I agree about the Martinelli staying fit is a big factor. I said it at the top of my big long Chris Carpenter-esque chat where I said Martinelli, when he came back, he kind of galvanized the team. His work rate and his aggression, his runs, kind of spark the life into the rest of the team, and kind of maybe even put some of them to shame for the work rate that they were putting in. I do understand about having that creative person on maybe on the left. I feel that normally happens when you had kind of like two strikers kind of thing, and that creative player from the midfield joined up when we had the ball kind of thing. I don't know who we've got that can really play in that thing. Maybe Emile Smith-Rowe, if you're not going to have Saka in that position. I don't know. It's so I just think what we need out there is we need pace and aggression. What we don't need is someone who is going to get on the ball and slow it down when they get there. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing that has been our problem, is the passiveness off and on the ball. So I think it needs to be someone who is direct and someone who is quick. And apart from Martinelli, we don't really have that many people. I just think that the creative person, like say like a Cazorla on that left hand wing, in the team that we've got at the minute, playing the way they play at the minute, I think struggles to work, because it's going to be a bit like Willian. He's not going to get beyond the defenders. He's not going to draw anybody out. So all that's going to happen is defense are just going to sit in that low block on us, and it's just going to be, that sideways Denilson FC where it's just pass again. I don't know. Like I say, you what do you think of the question that you posed yourself?
No. I'll drop another question into it just because you mentioned low block. Mark Harlau says, any solutions to how we break down a low block with this current squad? I mean, the honest truth is, this is why for the most of the December, when we're on a bad run, Arteta was saying, "Oh, we're going to find solutions in January." And one of the things I said was, these January windows, these cat and mouse games that we seem to play in January, it costs us a lot of points. We do it at the beginning of the season when it was the Wenger era, where we wait, dilly-dally on transfers, knowing that we want something. Now, my thing is, if we know that we want a player and we wait to the end of January to get him, you're losing points in that time. I feel that they've targeted one or two offensive type players who will be a little bit different than what we got. But I think they're waiting, playing that cat and mouse games. Obviously, they're waiting because they need to get rid of some players from the squad. But then when you're dropping points, like you've dropped 2 points a day, then in the long run, is it worth it? Is it not? So for me, I think the solution might not be in the squad. But let's say we keep our current squad. I don't think we can get any better in terms of an attacking lineup than we had today, apart from putting Martinelli where Aubameyang is. And I struggle to think that we're going to drop Aubameyang, if I'm being honest with you, considering he's our captain, he's our highest paid player. I can't see how we're going to drop him, to be honest with you. So then your other option is to get your attacking incentive from your fullbacks. I think we definitely, as everyone's saying in the chat and as we're saying, we missed Tierney today, and Bellerin wasn't at his best today. So I think those are the only two ways with the current squad that we will. Also, we got a Partey coming back as well, who is a dribbler that can break lines in midfield, which none of our other midfielders can do. So that's another way that we can break the low block, is to commit players and remove players out of the midfield by dribbling past them straight through the middle, not wide dribblers, but through the middle dribblers, who opens up space for through balls and things like that. That's my thoughts on that. What do you think, just briefly?
Yeah, like I said, the breaking down the low block. Like I said, it's not easy. It's you need to try to draw them out by creating overlaps and stuff like that, which is what we try to do. Which is why 9 times out of 10 our most of our chance creation comes from the fullbacks, because they're the ones who are overlapping and going beyond defenders, whereas our our two wing players, our two front strikers, the right wing, left wing, they always come in and try to occupy those fullbacks, and our fullbacks can overlap and then create the spaces. The problem is that you get with that is when, again, they drop into that low block and then the defenders then fill in for those fullbacks, so the fullbacks don't have to tuck in to cover for the to mark Aubameyang, to mark Pepe, to mark Saka, and then the fullbacks can just cover the our fullbacks. I think, like I say again, it's just drawing them out. I think the big thing is variation in your play. Like in the bad zones where all we was doing was, we crossed the ball about 80 million times to a striker who is 5'7" playing against 6'4" centre backs. I think that the biggest thing we need to do is mix up your play, because we don't have. I see someone mentioned about the Santi and Fabregas. They were all, and yeah, K-Man, he's knocked spot on. Santi, Fabregas, Wilshere, all talented players who could pass the ball exceptionally well, whereas Ceballos, El Nene, bless him, my Egyptian brother, and even Xhaka, sometimes he can do it. They're not the slide rule passers of the ball that we really have, that unpick them locked defenses. So I think the biggest thing we need to do is vary it up and be quicker with what we're doing. A lot of the time today, even though the tempo is decent, we took every player was having 3 touches on the ball. We needs to be 1, 2 touch, conviction, give, go. Everything needs to be progressive, aggressive, and quick. Our very worst under Wenger and under Emery and stuff like that, Arsenal were the worst team in all of football without the ball. Yeah. When the player had the ball at his feet, we were great. Without the ball, slow, really passive, and that's not how you unlock teams. Like I say, you need to change it up. You need to be quick and take as few touches as you can.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the chat are agreeing with you on that point, and everything that you just described, that type of football is Man City, basically, is what you just described there. Quick passing, aggressive in the final third. Last question before we start wrapping up is from A. Claudius. A. Claudius says, which centre-back should be in our first team next season? Will Saliba finally play? Will David Luiz get another deal? Should Chambers leave or stay as cover? It's a lot of questions. Centre-backs. Let's say we're going to keep... Let's say Arteta says he wants a core group of 4 or 5. Who stays?
Well, Holding, obviously, because he's just been given a new deal. I think Mari has been fantastic considering how many people slated him. Which I can see how some people were skeptical, considering what happened to him. He got injured half an hour into his first game and stuff like that. I think he's been brilliant. So we've got our two left-sided centre-backs in Gabriel and Mari. Holding's the other one on the right-hand side. The other side, it's a pick 'em. I think I have a bad feeling that Saliba we're going to sell him in the summer. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a hunch. I think the fact that he has not even come close to having a sniff of first team action, and coupled with the social media posts from people like I think even Lacazette taking the piss out of him on Instagram, and Wesley Fofana, didn't he post a thing with saying, "Oh, he's free." I think that's I don't know. To me, I've got a bad feeling. I don't think he's going to be back again. So it depends on what they want to do going forward. Because I think is David Luiz is his deal done at the end of the season?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. They might bring in try and bring in another centre back, because I don't think Mavropanos is going to cut it with us. And I think Holding, I don't know, because let's say, to be fair, he's just coming back from injury, so I don't know what is gonna happen with
Callum
him.
Chambers. Yeah,
Callum Chambers. Yeah, sorry, did I say Holding? Sorry.
Yeah, Callum Chambers. Now, I think Chambers might be gone. Now, I'm going to say something that I think is going to happen, and I predicted this on the Tuesday show. David Luiz is probably going to get a new deal, like it or love it or hate it, whatever you feel about it. Now, the reason why I say that is I just don't see us spending big money on a centre back this summer. I think we have other glaring needs that need to be addressed that might take up more of our budget. So keeping David Luiz is sort of a good option in terms of just shoring up the area. If you feel like you're all right defensively, I have a feeling that David Luiz might get a new contract or they'll offer him a new contract, whether he takes it or not. Mr. Waffle says Luiz is a clown. I'm not disagreeing with you in any way, shape, or form, but you have to look at Arsenal and the financial situation, and they'll have to pick and choose. They'll think, okay, do we want to get a top central midfielder like a Awar that we went for this summer, or to get a decent centre back now, it's going to cost a lot of money. If you're looking at a Upamecano or something like that, you're looking like 45 million. I mean, by the time you buy a central midfielder, another 45. Arsenal are not spending 90 million on two players. Let's be realistic. So what I think they'll do is they'll consolidate with a 1-year deal, like K-Man says in the chat, for a one-year deal on David Luiz, just to keep the squad, keep it ticking, and keep things ticking until they can get a centre back next summer. What do you think of that? Just before we round up.
I mean, it makes sense. Arteta seems to like him. Allegedly, he's a decent influence on the young kids. Supposedly, from what I've heard. So I do understand. It does make sense. But I also can understand people's reservations in the sense of I get so scared with him, with people running towards him and stuff like that. It's I'm kind of 50-50 on that one, but I can understand why we would give him a new deal. As much as from a playing standpoint, I'm not his biggest fan. I can understand, like I said, that there's other things that we need to address, like a backup goalkeeper, a backup left back, another central midfielder, another attacking option to take the burden and take over from Emile Smith-Rowe. So it does, when you look at it in the whole, in a non FIFA or Championship Manager world, signing Luiz to a 1-year contract, I can see the logic in it.
Yeah. There you go. And last question before we just wrap this up. And by the way, I'm looking at the comments. I'm looking at the likes. There are 72 people watching and we have 31 likes. So please, please, please support us. This is my first time hosting. If you do not give us more likes, Danny's gonna ban me from hosting. So hit that like button if you are in the chat. Make sure that you continue to hit it so that Danny doesn't sack me.
Speaking of Dani, did you see what he's written? If
I've
Pepe
just
goes
seen it.
missing or has an accident, can he claim on the house insurance? You're a bad man, Dani. You're a bad man.
Okay. Last question. Mr. Waffles asked a question. Actually, someone asked me a question earlier on. Thunder Road said, "Do I shave my head daily because it looks freshly shaved each time?" I definitely do not, but thank you very much for asking. Last question. Mr. Waffles says, milk or tea first? Milk first or tea first?
Or I don't think we've got enough time left in the show for me to go over this. I had in our WhatsApp chat, we had a big falling out, and on Twitter between me, I think John and Josh and stuff like that. I go milk first. Milk first. Yeah. But I don't put the tea bag directly into the milk. I am the king of making a cup of tea. Right? You tell me what sort of tea you want. I will make it for you spot on. I find if you put the tea in, the milk in afterwards, then you don't know, depending on what the strength of it, how much milk to put in. So the only way you're going to do to put the right amount of milk in, because you can't then take it out. If you put too much milk in, your tea's fucked. If you put the milk in first and you've put too much milk in, you can always empty that milk out. If you put the tea in first and you put the milk in second, you're gonna have to, and you put too much milk in, you got to throw it away. So what I do is I rest the tea bag on the top of the lip of the mug, put the correct amount of milk in, then hit the boiling water onto that tea bag fresh, and then cascade into the milk. Perfect teification.
I can't even. Just what a way to end the show. What a way to end the show. You have been taught a lesson in the art of tea making. Guys, thank you so much for joining the chat. Sorry that the game was disappointing. Hope we at least tried to entertain you as much as we could. At least we didn't lose. So not much doom and gloom, but yeah, just keep subscribing to ABW. Keep following us on the social media. What's your social media so people can go and follow you?
I'm at Cactus Cash on Twitter. That's the only thing I really do.
There you go. And I'm at Femster82 on Twitter. Make sure you give us a follow. We tweet along it during the game and we tweet during the week, mainly about Arsenal. So go for it. Follow us on Twitter. Hit the like button. And the only thing that is left for me to say is, Dani, put us out of our misery.